This is an Empty Closet Radio podcast. Get more at facebook.com/emptyclosetradio. It's so camp.
Stop laughing at me. It's not even funny.
Yes, it is.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And this is The Empty Closet.
The show for everyone, whether you're in the closet
Or out and proud.
or somewhere in between. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. And this week we have quite a few different things to talk about. A couple of local bits and pieces and some things that we'd like to be perhaps brought into from out of state that we think are really good. If you do want to catch up on any of our past episodes, you can look for us on social media. Just look on the big blue book of faces for Empty Closet Radio, hit the like button, or you can seek us out on the blue Tweety bird at emptycloset_AU, all lowercase, or you can check out our podcast, Andrew.
Yes, go into your favourite podcasting app. And you know what? I learned the other day, Sam, that lots of people have podcasting apps on their smartphone and don't realise it. So you can actually find it when you're on the home screen, just like put your thumb down in the middle of the screen and drag down. That brings a search bar up. Type into the search bar podcast. You'll find the app. You have a podcasting app. Open it up. Search for the Empty Closet Radio Show. Even if you just type in the words Empty Closet, it comes up. And hit the subscribe button. You'll be kept up to date with all of our shows. Whenever they come out, it'll be like, hey, look, there's a new episode. There's a new episode. There's more Andrew and Sam to listen to. And we know that you all love that. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
They can come true. Oh yeah.
Empty Closet Radio. Listen to us using your TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Very smart.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, this last week, or since our last show, there have been a few kind of big things happen. A few big days. One of them was December 1st, which is big not only because Cairns lit their Christmas tree. In fact, it's probably not really big because of that. It's big because it's World AIDS Day. And we spoke a little bit about what was planned last week, and Sam and I managed to go along to the World AIDS Day ceremony and in Cairns, and we had a blast. Sam, what was your favourite thing?
Well, it was a toss-up between the fact that I got free tacos and the fact that I sat at a distance and watched you dance around the lagoon in a big red ribbon.
Did you see me do a dance move that then broke my shorts?
Once I came in, you already had broken shorts. You're like, Sam, check this out. And I'm like, you're going to get arrested for flashing people.
Sam, check this out. The front of my crotch is now broken.
Pretty much. No, I did really enjoy it. There were some great resources down there. There were people who were better dancers than us. There was live music.
Yeah, actually, the live music was amazing. After they left, I put on, just Empty Closet music, and it was also amazing.
I also really liked that they had the free HIV screening, which seemed to be pretty popular, which was good.
Yeah, you know what I did though, Sam? So the TV came and had a look, and they wanted to run a story, and they were like, can we film someone getting their HIV test done to show how easy it is? And I was like, I don't know if we can actually do that, but I'll do one, and you can film mine. I don't mind. And I had my HIV test done a week ago anyway, so I kind of knew what the result was going to be. So they filmed me getting my little finger pricked, and then they suck the blood up in a tiny, it's basically like a tiny little straw. And then they use the little straw to squirt the tiny bit of blood onto the end of a litmus paper, which I'm sure is not the scientific name for it. It looks like a litmus paper. And then you just wait for the paper to develop, and then it changes colour and tells you the result.
So was the result what you expected, or did the TV crew have to film some other reaction?
the TV crew basically like filmed the blood part and they're getting like a little finger prick part. And then they were like, okay, we're done now. And so I didn't actually stick around to find out.
Nicely done. So, if you do go for HIV testing, you should not follow what Andrew did. You should actually stick around and listen to the result.
Yeah, there's actually completely free tests available at Cairns Sexual Health Centre. So that's where I get mine done normally. And I tell you what, last time I went there, Sam, I bumped into so many people that I knew in the waiting room, and we were all like, oh, hi. At least we knew we were all looking after each other, right?
Yeah, and that's the main thing. That's the important bit.
So, World AIDS Day, huge success. Giant red ribbon on the Esplanade. We'll have to put up some photos. But the other thing that they did is that evening there was a vigil, where I call it a candlelit vigil because, there were candles, although they were battery powered candles. It's kind of like Carols by Candlelight, but with no candlelight.
No, look, it makes sense though, because this was down on the Esplanade, which is known for being a bit breezy. So if you had candles, they'd all blow out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they totally would have blown out. And I sent a picture so we all laid these candles and flowers on a table by the ocean, and it was actually stunningly beautiful. I took a few photos and sent them to one of my friends back in Melbourne. And he sent me a photo of their vigil. He was in some, I don't know, I don't think it was a church hall. I think it was a community hall, with zero decorations. And I was like, our backdrop is much better. And he's like, I know.
We did have an inflatable orange elephant and a giant inflatable red ribbon.
Yes, the orange elephant is, it's called Frank. It's a new campaign for awareness about STIs. It's not really directly associated with the HIV education, but obviously HIV education forms a part of what they do.
Yeah, it would have to, considering that HIV is considered an STI. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet.
She said they call me Alexandra. I didn't even need her name. All I wanted was to get down again.
Empty Closet Radio. Like us on Facebook.
You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, not only was December 1 World AIDS Day, it also was the day that a giant novelty light switch was switched on at the Esplanade.
Did you go and look at the giant novelty light switch?
I walked past it earlier in the day and it kind of looked a little bit like a bowling pin that was half falling over but couldn't fall over the whole way.
Yeah, to me it looked like some kind of cross between a bowling pin, like an 80s Christmas special in a good way, and like a Dr. Evil-esque evil switch,
You know what I think it really was? I think it was really made from the top section of a fence post, one of those decorative fence posts that you can get at a very large big box hardware store that had then been cut to size and painted white.
Quite possibly, but I have a story about Friday night, about the lights that you might enjoy, Andrew.
Why? Did they have a shirtless person throw the switch?
No, see, I never actually got to watch the switch get thrown. I just saw it afterwards. But we'd gone down. I went with a friend and her friend who I'd never met before, to go and watch the lights. And this new friend is a gentleman of your sexual persuasion.
And he wasn't at the World AIDS Day candlelit vigil. I'm judging right now.
I can just feel the judgment rolling off you. But anyway, we went for dinner and because of that, we were running a bit late for the lights.
But wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Is he attractive?
Well, yes, I guess. Wasn't really looking, to be honest. I'm terrible at this, you know.
You know, Sam, I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness lately.
Let me finish my story. Anyway, so the two of them, I said, because I'm like, you need to meet more people in the community up here. And I said, you need to come to the next out party. And I'm going to give you back the microphone because I trust you as a person. Are you going to destroy that trust?
I can't even, Sam. I can't even.
Anyway, out party. And it turns out that the two of them had gone to the last out party and they went, oh, there was this drag queen there and she had like cake for her beard or something. Like the way they were talking was like, you know, they had this beard, but there was all this stuff in it. And I went, oh, that'll be Marina Mirage.
Oh, they've met Jack.
Well, see, I was like, that'll be Marina. And they're going, no, this. And I'm like, yeah, I promise you, this will be Marina. And then one of my friends goes, oh, but my friend went, oh, you know, but I really want him to meet this guy I follow on Instagram, you know, and he really wants to meet him. And he's like, yeah, I really want it. Do you know Jack? I want to meet Jack. And I'm like, you met Jack. Jack is Marina. Like,
yeah, look, you know, this is really interesting because it brings up an interesting thing in queer culture, particularly in the drag scene, about identity and about what are the rules around revealing a drag queen's actual identity? Because I think the rules are a little bit different for drag performers versus like people from the trans community, which obviously have a lot more strict rules because there's a lot more writing on it.
Well, in the trans community, it's usually called a dead name and you don't use it ever. But I feel with drag queens, I take my lead from that person. And Jack's very much someone who talks about Marina.
And sometimes he comes out as Marina and doesn't make a huge effort to change the look. I shouldn't say that, no. He always puts in effort because he does everything with gusto. But sometimes due to time constraints, Marina is like, it's like half Marina, half Jack.
And, you know, that's fine. But anyway, they were quite shocked in a good way, but very disappointed that they'd actually met Jack and not realised that it was Jack. So now, next time there's a glittery event on that Jack's going to, I have to bring them along to introduce them. So that's my story of Friday night.
Well, yes. And then you didn't bring them along to the out party, which was amazing, by the way.
You know I can't go to the out party. It's too noisy for me. I'm an old nana now.
Such an old nana. I'm an old nana as well. No one believes me that I'm going to retire soon.
That's because you talk like you're an 18-year-old.
I don't talk like an 18-year-old like that and stuff.
You can't see it, but my face is judging Andrew.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
I can see it in your eyes. All the years that pass us by. Just say
Empty Closet Radio, because no one else wants to be stuck in the closet. God.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, we were just talking about the out party, which you neglected to come to, but I did go to. I don't know, something about like being disabled or something. What was that, Sam? What was that? Anyway, no, I shouldn't be. So, Sam, at the moment, I understand loud places such as dance parties / nightclubs are really not your thing. And I would say, though, at this out party, it was at a new venue. And this new venue is a nightclub. So the previous venue that we've had a few parties at has been more like a restaurant kind of beer garden converted into a nightclub just for the night. And that means that it has meant that the partying has to stop a little bit earlier because of their licensing laws. But also what that means is that there's a lot less rules around checking of IDs and security guards and that sort of thing. So we've moved to this place that is a nightclub, which, by the way, is awesome because it means that everyone doesn't have to go home at midnight. Like, you can keep going.
Like we're not all made of pumpkin.
Exactly. Well, you know, at the end of the night, I was more like carriage than pumpkin. Let's be honest. That's after midnight. It's like boom.
Did you lose your shoes?
On which occasion? One of the differences, though, is there's different rules around like checking people's IDs and who to let in and how many security guards they have to have and all that kind of thing. And this is where something was brought to my attention.
And what was that?
So we have a few friends in the trans community that are not the way that I know them is not the way that their license shows who they are. And of course the license is what they want to scan at the front door. So basically, let's just quickly review the legislation. My understanding of it is if you're a nightclub and it's after 10 p.m. and you're in like one of the CBD area zones, which is like if you're a nightclub and you're not in the CBD, where are you? And your business will be broke pretty soon. Anyway, so basically any nightclub has to like scan your ID before letting you in, and they take like a photo of your face as well. So there's like, I think there's some kind of facial recognition software happening there as well. So then, you know, if there's something terrible that happens in the nightclub, then they know who's in there. Like they've got a really good idea of who's in there. When I say a really good idea, what I actually mean is they know exactly who you are.
Now, look, there's some good things. There are some good things about this, particularly in relation to people who've been banned from clubs before. But what it means for some members of the rainbow community is that if your name or your gender don't line up with what's on your license, then it looks like you're carrying a false ID. And that's wrong. You're clearly not carrying a false ID, but that has knock-on effects.
Yeah, and it's very hard to, I mean, obviously trying to negotiate with someone who works at the front door, they obviously have like a very strict set of rules and instructions that they have to abide by, and they're just trying to do the right thing. And the way that this affects our community, which I've never even thought about before, is actually quite, like it becomes quite obvious, because I'm like, oh, there's a whole section of the community that's now going to experience problems. And now that it's happening in my community, I'm like, I wonder whether this has happened in other places as well.
Now, I personally have not had an issue where my license doesn't match up to what I look like and what I present like, but I do know people who have, and I've known this to be a big problem for some time. And the argument is that our IDs have to have gender on them, because what if in an emergency, you know, the doctors need to know, you know, what your gender is, or if you get lost, they need to know what your gender is, and things like this. And the common counterpoint that I've heard to that, which I agree with, is our IDs don't even have our blood type on them, which would probably be of more use in an emergency. Why do they need to have our gender?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would probably come at it from a different angle. So you're saying it doesn't have all the pertinent information on it, but I would come at it from the other angle where we say, hey, look at what's happened in the past. So in the past, when you were in hospital, they would have on your paperwork, they'd have a field for like, what is your religion? Which now does not feature on hospital paperwork at all. And the argument was, oh, well, it's really important because then we can treat people according to how their religious views are. And it's been proven since we've removed that identity from the paperwork, that it actually has not impacted patient care by not having that category on there.
That piece of information.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing I want to say about this, because we are running out of time in this section, is that speaking of healthcare, that where your ID doesn't match up, you know, as much as you rightly say that security have to abide by laws.
There's also just no point in arguing it, because you're not going to win.
No, but there's also the fact that, let's be honest, there's very few security companies who train their guards in things like, you know, sensitivity training or anti-bias. So they're even if they're like, this is clearly a picture of you, their inherent bias may kick in and they'll go, no, this isn't a legit ID. So I think that this is a problem that needs to be dealt with. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
Moment I'm taking your hand, we are entering magical land, and I don't even care who.
Empty Closet Radio, facebook.com/Empty Closet Radio.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, you sent me a link during the week, and I read the headline. I really, really promised that I did. But can you tell me what are we talking about again?
Okay, so basically this week, so November 30th to be specific, there was a historic decision made by Family Court in Australia that ruled that young people who have or experience gender dysphoria and wish to either undergo puberty blockers or hormone treatment, so under 18s, no longer need the permission of Family Court to do so if their doctors and parents both agree that this is the right course.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Old situation, if you are trans and want to begin a gender change process, then you needed to get orders from the Family Court, and your family had to be all like super cool with it, etc., etc. And the new process is now it's easier to do what you need to do. Is that right?
Yeah, but let me correct you briefly on one bit, because it is an important distinction and it's something that gets lost a lot. Most young people are not taking hormones. So if you are a 14-year-old trans girl, you're not going on the pill. What you're normally taking is what's called a puberty blocker. And what that does is delay the onset of puberty, so that if you hit 18 and you go, actually, you know, I don't want to totally change my body, you haven't already gone through puberty, one, so your body doesn't totally mismatch to what you feel, but you also haven't taken hormones that cause you to undergo puberty of the sex you feel you are either. So it's basically delaying the decision.
Okay, and so now under the new rules, you don't need the Family Court to like give you a stamp of approval to say that you can delay going through puberty?
Yeah, so basically what used to be the case is say that at 12 years old, you know, I've been living as a girl since I was 5, my parents are cool with it, my doctor's cool with it, but we're talking about putting me on puberty blockers. Before this decision, even though everyone involved thinks it's a good idea, I would still have to go to Family Court and prove that it was a good decision, and they would legally have to give me permission. So now, if everyone else agrees with me, I don't have to do that. I can get the script from the doctor. You know, if I'm 17 and I want to start taking hormones, I can. But if I'm 13 years old and my family doctor won't diagnose me, but my parents are supportive, or maybe mum's supportive but dad's not, or vice versa, then Family Court still steps in, because then they're basically overruling the party because they think that that the guardian is not acting in the best interest of the child.
So they're like adjudicating. They can still adjudicate for the decision. But if everybody's happy and in agreement, then there's no need for an adjudicator.
Yeah, and basically that's what came out is after a recent case that went through the courts for a 16-year-old, they went, why are we doing this? Like, we actually don't need to be part of this decision. It's a waste of everybody's time and money. But in situations where there is disagreement, where parents particularly do not agree with the decisions of the child, then it still has to go to Family Court, because until they're 18, unless by court order, children are still cannot consent to the same degree that their parents can.
Yep. So basically they're like, you're not old enough to decide.
Well, that's what the parents are saying. The court's saying that, you know, we will consider this, and if, you know, the child has backing of one parent, or has backing of their doctors, or has backing of their parents, but the doctor's not supporting them, we will step in and assist that child. So this is a good thing. It takes away some of the legislation, takes away some of the red tape, and makes it easier for trans kids to access the care they need.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait. And does it come into effect straight away?
Immediately. So it's in effect. It's been in effect for 5 days.
Oh, 5 days. Excellent. Get on those puberty blockers. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
You've been on my mind, and I know it's bad timing.
Empty Closet Radio, because no one wants to be stuck in the closet.
You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Sam, we were just talking about legal rights and the legal system and navigating it for young trans identifying people. there is something that's perhaps a little bit more important for older trans-identifying people as well that has been in the news this week. Something about screening. Tell me more.
So this is not in Queensland at this stage, to the best of my knowledge. In Victoria, Breast Screen Victoria and Transgender Victoria have teamed up, which makes it sound like a superhero comic book thing.
Yeah, when your powers combined, I am Captain Breast Screen.
Apparently. Basically, they're talking about the fact that amongst some other issues that face the trans community is the fact that because of misunderstanding of what trans is or what non-gender conforming is and things like that, that a lot of trans people don't access healthcare when they need it. They wait because you don't want to go through the stress of that. And one of the big ones is trans and non-gender conforming people or non-binary people going for breast screening because nobody likes breast screening. It's not a fun day.
So I've never had a breast screen, mainly because I don't think that I need one. When you, like, what's the process exactly? You actually have to, like, go in and be to the doctor, be like, hey, can you, like, scan these puppies?
So they have specific nurses who do this all the time, but they basically crush your breast between two metal plates and take a picture.
Oh, I can't imagine why people would not want to go and do that.
It's fucking agony. Like, I'm gonna swear because it's fucking horrible.
It actually really hurts.
Depends on the size of your breasts and how sensitive you are. If you have big breasts, yes, it is extremely uncomfortable. It's hard to do and get a clear image, so you're more likely to have to go back or take more images.
So what if you're trans, M to F, then do you still have to get a breast screen done? Like, I mean, the breasts that you might have, like if you've had top surgery, your breasts are like entirely created, right?
Well, you've got to remember that most people are growing breasts as secondary to taking hormones, so they're still breasts. Like, men can get breast cancer, but they don't normally have boobs sticking off their pecs in the same way that cis women do. But, you know, checking for lumps is important. Grope yourself on a regular occasion, Andrew. But anybody who has breasts that are formed by hormones particularly needs to check for breast cancer. But there's all, like, you know, this can also be trans men who maybe haven't had a mastectomy because they don't want one or whatever, non-binary people. And if they go in and they don't look like they should be there, then well-meaning but ignorant, you know, front staff might go, oh, is your wife in the car? You know, and the story that I'm reading is from someone, Alan, who's non-gender binary and has actually at this point found a lump. So he's very anxious going for this screen and is like having to justify, no, I'm the one who needs the imaging. You know, I'm not a man, thank you.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, that's a bit crazy. So what is this author's story? Like, can you tell me a bit about the background?
No, like that's just a fragment kind of explaining why it's stressful if you're not a cis female going, like why it's more stressful going for screening. And so people are avoiding going for breast screening, which means end results are much badness. So Breast Screen Victoria has teamed up with Transgender Victoria and created the T-Screen project, which is basically aiming to educate everybody involved in the imaging, from receptionists through to mammographers, about inclusive and respectful healthcare. So things like not assuming that somebody who approaches you at the counter and looks like a man is not there for an image themselves. You know, saying to, like, things like just saying to them, hi there, can I help you? And if they're like, I'm here because there's an appointment, right, can I get your name? Like, not assuming they're talking for someone else, as a for instance. Not commenting on their appearance. So it's all pretty basic stuff, but it's difficult because people don't think about why they're doing it.
Yeah, and it's always like, it's that stuff about cultural change that can take a little bit of time for it to trickle through. So, like, Victoria's obviously trying to roll it out at an increased pace, but eventually, hopefully, it will seep into other states and other health services, and the ideas will take up.
Yeah, I really hope that it is taken interstate. I'd really like to see this sort of initiative done everywhere.
Well, you know, Sam, if it's like everywhere else, Queensland will only be 20 years behind. Don't worry, we're nearly there.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
You've been playing too long. You might get burned by your own fire.
Empty Closet Radio, 9 p.m. Tuesdays, 101.9 Coast FM.
Dangerous behavior. It's dangerous behavior.
101.9 Coast FM, you're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. Now, Sam, Christmas time is coming. I have a few Christmas traditions, actually. One of which I started at the start of December. And the Christmas tradition revolves around a very Western Christmas tree. You know, it's a very obvious tradition. But I put a little twist on it because we can't do the old chocolate advent calendar up here in the north because, you know, chocolate for advent. Firstly, chocolate doesn't last a whole month in my house. Secondly, the heat would make it melt.
You know, I didn't actually realise that people didn't keep advent calendars in the fridge until the last few years because, like, all the ones I'd ever seen were stashed in the fridge so that chocolate didn't melt. And I just thought that was normal. Like, I didn't realise that wasn't what was done everywhere.
No. In Victoria, I have never put an advent calendar in the fridge.
Well, I don't know. I have no reply to that. Your world is strange and bizarre to me.
It's probably also a lot colder than what you're used to. Anyway, so since moving up to the north, I've realised that chocolate's like a terrible idea for an advent calendar. And so what I do now is I have like a little Christmas tree and it's half counting down Advent and half being really lazy. But what I say, so I set it up and I just put the lights on because that's the only thing I'm really particular about. Oh, and I put a little star at the top. And then everyone who comes to my house, I have a bowl of decorations next to it. And I say, could you put one or two decorations on the tree, to help decorate it? And then that way, when Christmas arrives, it's like a slow build up. And when Christmas arrives, you're part of my Christmas day. People love it. I love it because I don't have to do the decorating. People love it because they're part of my Christmas day.
It is very nice. And you actually, let's be honest, you actually also do it because you love people being involved in interesting new ways.
I just like having like a revolving door on my apartment. That's why I do it. I invite lots of people over.
Yes, I'm well aware, mister. I need to keep my living room free so it's a dance floor.
Yeah. Sam told me that I should get a glass table and put it in the middle of my dance floor, and I said, no, honey, no.
I was like, it's just a big empty space and your room's unbalanced. You went, yeah, because I'll fill it with people.
I could have like a full yoga studio out there. It's fine.
You're not running an illegal nightclub, though.
Have you seen the lighting in my house?
You have lots of neon rainbows.
And I've got a pretty good stereo.
Yeah, so I think it was legit what I said.
An illegal nightclub. It's not illegal if I don't sell anything. It's true. It's true. It's not illegal. I can just have people over for dance parties. It's fine.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that's my Christmas tradition. Sam, do you have any Christmas traditions that you're starting or doing this year?
Well, we always mostly have, you know, family things at various points. So my brother's not home for Christmas this year, which means we'll have a dinner when he is home. He's coming home to watch the Star Wars premiere because it was a choice between the two, and that's very important that he goes to the opening night.
He chose Star Wars over Christmas with the family.
Having said that, I suspect that he had to take less days off, or maybe had to apply not so far in advance, because a lot of people want Christmas off. Not everybody's going to travel away from where he lives to see a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, so we'll do a fancy-ish dinner then, and we'll probably be in the new house by then. But what I like to do is we always leave our tree up until probably the first weekend of January, because Mum and I share a birthday and we're the week after Christmas, so our birthday presents go under the tree.
Aha! So you put birthday presents under the tree too?
Well, I mean, where else are they going to go?
Nah, I don't know.
In the empty closet.
Thanks for reminding me it's your birthday, Sam. Quickly write that down. Where's a pen? Actually, you know what? There's some other stuff that you should write down as well. One of them is, I know that it's the silly season and there's lots of Christmas functions coming up, but this one is going to be more fun than most of your other Christmas functions, I'm sure. So we all remember the Thirsty party. So you know how Out Cairns does a party once a month and Thirsty is doing parties. They're not quite once a month. They're kind of like very sporadic. That's why sometimes I remember they're on and sometimes I forget to tell you they're on. But this coming Sunday, the 10th of December, they are having a Christmas party. And so I reckon everyone should rock up with like their best Christmas garb, such as, you know, like an outfit made entirely of tinsel or, you know, a hat, you know, Christmas hat to show your Christmas spirit.
Do you want to do the one where someone's got nothing but a pair of bright red boxes and a present box on the front?
Oh my God, that would be amazing. Actually, that would be truly amazing. And you know what? You could probably get away with it as well, because you could be like, no, I'm not flaunting the clothing policy of this venue. It's fancy dress. It'd be like a scene out of Mean Girls where they're like, I didn't realize that Halloween was the one time of year you could dress up like a slut and not be called a slut. It's actually true. But anyway, Christmas, let's turn it into that time of year. So that's coming up on Sunday the 10th. Sam's lost the plot. She's like, Andrew, what are you talking about now? So that's coming up on Sunday the 10th. Make sure you check out Thirsty's Facebook page or our Facebook page, and you'll be able to see all the details.
That's our big blue book of faces.
Ah, yes. Sorry. Oh. Also, coming up in a little bit further after Christmas is New Year's Eve. Thirsty's also doing an amazing New Year's Eve party. Just thought I'd let you know.
You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam.
When I wake up in a sweat, half dead in the morning. When the clouds
Empty Closet Radio. Follow us on Twitter.
101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet with Andrew and Sam. That is pretty much all that we've got time for, Sam. We've got lots of we've talked about a lot of Christmas traditions and the upcoming Christmas party on the 10th, which is this coming Sunday. Talked about World AIDS Day. We've talked about the out party and what should we do about trans IDs and those silly ID scanners. We've also talked a lot about breast screening, which I learned it's shoving your boob between two metal plates and shoving, and it's excruciating.
I'm going to take the microphone away from you now. If you did enjoy the past episode or you want to catch up on any other past episodes and listen to Andrew learn new things about other stuff that perhaps aren't breasts, you can be sure to check out the podcast.
I know lots of stuff about things that are not breasts.
I know, and sometimes it's really funny when you learn. I particularly recommend the sex toy episode if you're going to go through the backstock.
Oh my goodness, I did learn a lot in that episode.
Andrew learnt where the clitoris is. Yay! Now, do be sure to check out the podcast. As I said, just look for Empty Closet Radio on your favourite podcasting app. Hit the subscribe button, or you can look on our social media pages. You can look on the big blue book of faces for Empty Closet Radio. Hit the like button, or follow us on the blue Tweety bird at emptycloset_AU, all lowercase. You're on 101.9 Coast FM. You're in the Empty Closet, and I'm not giving Andrew the microphone back.
Can't avoid the city limits, concrete ground. Counting hours as minutes, missing out now.
Thanks for listening to The Empty Closet, brought to you by 1019 Coast FM Cairns.